This is Rodney with Landscape with Zebrascapes. We're here to talk about irrigation. It's always a big topic. Not only is it a big topic, it's lots of money being spent on water. If you're not spending on water, are plants dying? Are the plants starving for water? Plants and trees are a huge asset to real estate. So it's very critical that we check the plants and make sure they're healthy. But also, are we overwatering and running up a water bill? And as you know, in Arizona, water is very sought after. So your timer has 3 programs, A, B, and C. And each program can run complete different times and days. That's why they have those. So if your system was installed correctly, that is the trees on one zone, plants on another zone, and grass on a zone, if you have grass, on 3 different zones. Then you can start 3 different times and 3 different time of days. So let's say you have plants. You do program A, and you would water Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 45 minutes. That's a safe time to run for plants. What I like to do is run the time on a time that you're out and about your yard. So let's say if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock, you start your time the time you're outside. So let's say 4 o'clock, you run for 45 minutes, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So you know when you're walking around, hey, the water should be on today. Let's see if it's running, and you can hear the water come out. If there's no water, there's an issue. We can look into it. If there's water spraying a rabbit chew into the emitter, then you can see there's a water leak. But if you water it at midnight or early morning when you're at work, you're not sure what's happening, if it's coming on or not. So it's great to water when you're out and about the yard. And if your trees are on a separate zone, you would 1 day a week, an hour and 25 minutes, hour 30 minutes, a good soak for the trees. Let that water go all the way down to the tap roots and get it a great soak. Otherwise, you just get the surface roots. And when you water surface roots, the roots will rise to the top and they'll just stay there. And a lot of it don't get down to the trees. So it's good to give it a great soak, and 1 day a week is enough. If it's over 2 years old trees, if it's a 1 year old, let's water 3 days a week and give it the soak as let those roots grow. It's also very important to move those emitters out to the drip line right beside the root ball. When they're planted is good, but 2 to 3 years later, get them out there so the roots will go outside to give it the stability of the tree to where you can remove the tree stakes. That's why you remove the emitters out and you look at the trees, it has a drip line. You want the emitters out to that drip line. As the tree grows, that's where the roots are going to go. The roots are going to grow toward the water. If it's by the base, they'll stay at the base, and there's no sense in going outward because all it is dry. So they'll stay there. When a storm comes, it'll end up falling down. Grass, every day recommended, 10 to 15 minutes. If you have a pop-up spray, 10 minutes. Rotors, more like 25 minutes. These are just rule of thumbs that go off of. Obviously, if you're on a steep slope, you want to run it a short amount of time for multiple start times for the day, like maybe 3 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3 start times. So the water soaks in and then turns back on and gets it to soak in. Because if you water 15 minutes straight on the side of a slope, it'll run off and it goes onto the road, asphalt. It ruins the asphalt over time. And also, you're a lot of wasted water. So those are several start times on the grass to get that to soak in. So go over it again. Plants 3 days a week for 45 minutes. Established trees 1 day a week for about an hour and 20 minutes, hour 30 minutes. And grass 10 to 15 minutes. What happens is the trees and plants are in the same zone, which happens all the time when it comes to houses that are spec built and they're on a tight budget. They run one hose and they put everything on it. There's not much you can do. 45 minutes, 3 days a week, and at the same time in the starting time of when you'll be out and about. It's very critical that you water it. It's better to water in the afternoon than the morning, but it's more important you water too much than not enough because the plants end up going into shock. So if someone says, what is the best time? I'm out whatever time it is. Ideally, let's look at it as us, when you're exercising, going on a walk, you come home, you're thirsty. So I look at the plants in the heat of the day, all day long. Let's get them water in the afternoons. 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the afternoon is the best time to water the plants after the sun's going down, and that's the most thirsty, so the plant's going to thrive the most. So it's very important to hit that time, but it ain't critical. I mean, you can water in the morning, but ideally it would be when the sun's down, sun's going down after the heat. So I gave you the time on how to run a time. Now the emitters. So what size emitters do you have at the plants? A plant that's 82 feet across, a 4-gallon emitter is sufficient. A 2-gallon emitter, you have to run the time longer. So how do you know what emitter you got? You can't read the side. It's difficult. It's very simple. Put the emitter in a gallon jug or in a quart jar and run it for the amount of time. If you got a quart, run it 15 minutes. And there's 4 quarts in a gallon. So 15 minutes, that quart should be full. And then you can know how much water's coming out. If you did that and you have a half a quart, that means your line has too many emitters going out. You're not getting the proper water to that plant. To fix it, instead of running a new irrigation system, all you got to do is run your time instead of 45 minutes, run it an hour and a half, and you'll give that plant the proper amount of water. So if we're wanting to give a plant 5 gallons of water, and you got the emitter, let's check the time to the what's running coming out of that emitter. That's the best way to check. When you have a tree, about trees, you get 4-gallon emitters. Run three of those on one tree. That's putting out 12 gallons in an hour. So 12 gallons in an hour is going on that tree. If you have 4-gallon emitters and 3 of them, and you run it for an hour, that's how you figure out how much water. Look at the size of the tree. That's a big tree. Is 12 gallons sufficient? Probably not. Do an hour and a half. And if it's huge, do 2 hours. It's fine. It gives it a good soak. It soaks in and gives that the proper amount of water. That's the easy way to check the emitters, by sticking the emitter in a bucket and getting it to run, and for the duration, and check the time, of course, the emitters, and as you walk the property, throughout your property, checking the water duration. It's also important when checking irrigation is looking for leaks. I know it sounds crazy, but rabbits eat all the time. They know where the water is. They know there's water in those lines. So they'll nibble on it, enough drops come out. What I have done, and it has worked, is take a little bowl, put emitter in the bowl or in a plate, and let it water. Believe it or not, the rabbit knows there's water there, and they'll stop chewing your line. It has been very successful. Not all the time, but it's been very successful at keeping the rabbits from chewing the poly lines. Now, gophers, another story. They're down underground. They're going to chew those lines up. If you have a gopher issue, I can't help you with that. But back to irrigation, it's critical. It's very important. You have a timer. Check the batteries. Replace the batteries every year. One storm, one power outage, you forget, the timer goes. You look out and your trees are withered. Just put a new battery in every spring. That's the battery, the memory, that you don't lose the memory when the power goes out. So replace the battery on the timer. That is very important to make sure that time is not lost. You go on vacation for a week. If that power goes out when you leave, you come back and you're in the heat of the summer, your plants are going to be withered. If they're new, they're gone. So back to irrigation. Thanks so much for listening. Put your comments below. Let us know how we can help with anything and what we can learn. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Landscaping with Zebrascapes. We hope you found today's episode helpful and inspiring to your landscaping projects. For more tips and resources, and to learn how Zebrascapes can help you transform your outdoor space, visit our website, www.zebrascapes.com. Until then, happy landscaping.